When it comes to The Line, it's a wonderful showcase for Austin Abrams, but unfortunately, his co star from Euphoria, Angus Cloud, he's wasted, as is Halle Bailey, who you know from The Little Mermaid, Chloe X Halle, Grownish, and etc. So to summarize the film, Tom thinks he's hot shit. He got into a fraternity named K&A, Kappa Nu Alpha, and because the fraternity produced a few presidents, he thinks that he might be potentially set for life, which is notable because right now he has academic probation, and at the same time, he's also, unlike a lot of his peers, maybe middle class, maybe lower middle class, because his mom's a nurse who she I don't know how much she makes. They don't go into all that. But point of the matter is, Tom thinks by getting into this frat, even with him not doing well in school, he has some kind of upward mobility, especially because his roommate Mitch, his father is a CEO of like a Piggly Wiggly or something like that. But to add on top of that, Tom is very much favored by the current president, Todd, to potentially take over within 1 or 2 school terms. And while all this is going on, Tom is also looking to potentially expand his personal life. That's when Annabelle comes in, and as you can understand, with her being a black girl and he's surrounded by all these white men who have such terrible attitudes, she's very hesitant, especially because she has experience with Tom's friend named Bob, who also shares a class with her and Tom. But what may be the ultimate test for this life that Tom is trying to prepare himself for is one student, one pledge named Geddes. Geddes is not that submissive pledge who will get spit on, hazed, shout out, and not talk back. In this, for Mitch, Tom's roommate, the one who could potentially get him a job right after college, Mitch hates Geddes vehemently. And now, unfortunately for Tom, he has to figure out a way to secure Geddes because Todd wants him, while also dealing with Mitch, who is pissed about this kid who won't bow down to him. And on top of that, because Todd is preparing to graduate soon, he has Tom handle the new pledges, so he has to deal with these various different things in his life, from trying to secure a relationship with Annabelle, deal with Mitch, get off of academic probation hopefully, impress Todd, and it's a journey. So the first highlight when it comes to The Line is Austin Abrams, no doubt about it, and that's because any memorable moment or line probably has him in it, never mind him saying or causing the situation. And I would say his sheer audacity, his back and forth with Mitch, it really makes it so that you understand that fraternities aren't just about networking and brotherhood, but also establishing your sense of masculinity as a young man. And just him picking apart these men's insecurities, him making them question themselves, it really shows you how fragile these men are and how much they need the validation of each other and their older members of the fraternity in order to feel like they have something, they have some type of power or influence. With that said, so comes the second highlight, which is you get an understanding of why fraternities are such a notable thing in terms of their power and influence. Because what they're talking about, Fortune 500 CEOs or presidents, many were attendees of not only Ivy League universities, but also part of fraternities. And if you include our vice president, she was part of a sorority. And it's easy to get caught up in the allure of it, especially if you're someone like Tom who doesn't come from money, who doesn't come from influence, yet this is the easiest, or after you do the pledging and hazing, this is potentially the easiest way to get up on the social ladder. For yes, having Harvard, Princeton, Oxford, whatever on your resume is a beautiful thing, but it comes with a huge debt, and also no guarantees you don't end up at a coffee shop. Yet, if you have someone like Mitch as your best friend, or even your roommate, and you have interactions with his father, there's a good chance that between his father's company, his father's friends, who he may do golf, drink with, whatever, you have the type of connections where you could be set. And I'm not saying that it's difficult in general to just use your own experience and education to move up in the world, but the more you know is not just about education experience, it's also about the more people you know. Because I'm sure many of you who are watching this knows at least one or two dumbasses at your job who you do not know how they got in, but you can see the way they talk with people, all these friends and social intelligence they have, it explains everything that they can somehow get away with. So when it comes to an on-the-fence topic, I'm going to be honest with you and say my main issue, and it may not be your issue, is that I was expecting more out of Angus Cloud and even Halle Bailey because they are perhaps the bigger names out of everybody here. And this isn't to put down Alex Wolff, but we've seen many films from, never mind Austin Abrams, who is a co-star in Euphoria with Angus Cloud, but Angus Cloud is Fez, I believe his name. I know it's terrible. I'm saying he's a big highlight, yet at the same time I can't remember his character's name. But the point is, this is his first non-Euphoria role, and he's barely in the movie. And I feel like with how high up his name was in terms of the marketing for this, he should have did more. He should have been around more, not just pop up in Tom's class and then pop up toward the end as a means to keep Tom calm after something happens. And then for Halle Bailey, a part of me wants to say that her presence in this film is just to have a non-white male. It seriously feels that way. For she doesn't really get to be much besides someone who, in the 2014 world, is far more progressive than anybody else. And as for who she is, they may mention where she's from. I think it was like Charleston, North Carolina, something like that. But as for anything else about her, nothing is revealed. And they even make it so that she doesn't want to be Tom's love interest, her character Annabelle, yet at the same time they're messing around once or twice in the film. So it's like she keeps herself from being just this love interest, this token black girl who's dating a frat guy, yet at the same time they don't try to really push to her individuality in terms of her politics or anything. Instead, she's just a name they can use to say, hey, we have this big star in the film, even though this is not whatsoever about her and she's not really in this at all. Overall, when it comes to The Line, it is unfortunately not a film that prominently features Halle Bailey or Angus Cloud, but there's no denying that the point is still made regarding the benefits and the liabilities that fraternities act in as part of society. The benefit is, for people like Tom, they allow for a form of social mobility that, with him being someone that's middle class, maybe lower middle class, working class, however you want to put it, is not necessarily offered to them no matter how much education they may have or how much experience they may have. Sometimes it's about who you know, not what you know. But at the same time, it makes it very clear that in order to get these opportunities, you have to deal with people like Mitch, who, because all their influence, all their sense of power comes from somebody else, they're very much insecure because they know they have little to nothing to offer without this co-signer. And because of that, they use this secondhand influence in order to pursue some form of dominance, so that when it comes to people like Geddes, they want to feel power over them in order to empower themselves. And when they don't get that, that toxic masculinity kicks in, that insecurity kicks in, and you get a type of film like this which shows power, as many have said and shown, reveals itself in forms of telling you who somebody truly is.